Hi everyone, this is Angela, and we are here with Graham for his level 25 critique, and we will be talking about his website and his blog and maybe a few other things. I just feel like this should be like a kind of open conversation on the things that we've been doing in the cohort. How's it going with you?
Yeah, it's good, Angela. Thanks very much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty pleased with how things are moving along.
Yeah, I mean, Graham was in his first art show this past weekend and won, I think it was called Best Photograph or
Most popular photograph, I think.
Most
Yeah,
Popular Photograph. That's awesome.
yeah,
And then he posted a few pictures in the cohort, and there seemed like there was a lot of other photographers there. He was just telling me it was about 50-50, so I think that's great. That's fantastic.
yeah, yeah. It was a nice surprise. It was a strange phone call to take. I wasn't expecting the phone call at all. So yeah, it was very good.
And you got a cool little trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very nice glass trophy. Yes.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
My daughter said, "Where are you putting the trophy?" And I said, "Well, in my trophy cabinet, of course." So I'll have to go out and buy a trophy cabinet. No, it's on the side.
That's great. You should definitely display it, especially
Yeah.
like somewhere where you're like sit down and edit a lot. Maybe I think like if you need some motivation or something, that would be
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's screen share your blog, and then how about you tell us a little bit about it for anyone who's never seen it, when you started it, and kind of the idea that you were going with it.
Yeah, well, I think the first blog I shared was 17th of February. And then it's kind of been one a week, but not always. Pretty close, I think. So I found it a little bit difficult, I guess, to try and make sure that I had something interesting to say, or that I felt was interesting to say, rather than just sticking a photograph on there and saying, "Here it is," kind of thing. So, so I've used the blog to talk about things that have been happening to me. I think the first one was a football match, and then I went out to visit the brother-in-law, and then a picture of the Humber Bridge that I used to go across every day, and then we had a bit of snow, so talked about the fact that spring had come, but the snow had come back. Then I was actually doing an image for what we used to call a snap challenge in the previous cohort, and I still submit some images into that. And that was the snap challenge there was for intentional camera movement, so that was where those images came from with the tulips.
These are probably my favorite images, especially this one on the left. I love this one. And I saw this in your art exhibit or your art show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's going to go up around the house. So yeah, I was very pleased with that one. It came out very nicely. I mean, there was quite a number of attempts before I settled on that one as the one that I liked, but it all seemed to come together nicely on that one. So yeah, very pleased with that one.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And then we had a weekend away in the Yorkshire Dales, so that was Aysgarth Falls was the next one, and in fact the next one as well was in the Yorkshire Dales, where I talked about getting in the right position to take the shot that you want, even if it's a bit precarious.
Yeah,
it certainly was for that shot, and then the latest one was the art exhibition, and again that image was taken in the Yorkshire Dales on the same weekend. So that's given me a few images to put in the blog, and a picture of the trophy. So I think as we've discussed before, I found it a little difficult to kind of be too personal in these, but I think I'm probably opening up a little bit. But I feel as though I want to have something worthwhile to say. I don't want that to sound to be too. I don't really know what the word is, but too worthy kind of thing. But I didn't want it just to be kind of drivel.
Yeah.
Shall we say?
Do you have a favorite like photographer or blog or someone that you really like to follow because of their writings and things like that?
There's several that I do follow, particularly. I wouldn't say I've got a favorite one particularly, but there's quite a number. Although I do tend to look at YouTube videos by them rather than necessarily read their blogs.
Okay.
There's a couple of UK guys that don't post very frequently. They maybe do one a month or something, and they'll tend to do a short written blog and then a longer video post of with techniques and things like that on it, and what they've been doing and how they've been going about it. So I tend to look at those.
So those the videos, they're mostly informative, right? They're not like a vlog where you can go around with them taking pictures or anything like that.
It's more informative, where they went, how they composed shot, why they chose that location, if there are any particular technical aspects to it, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I personally think that if that's what you like about other people's videos or blogs or whatever the case is, then if you really don't feel comfortable being personal, then you should just go in the direction of maybe just talking about strictly photography and your technical and things like that. If that's what attracts you to other blogs and video makers, then that should be the direction that you're headed. You definitely don't want to be someone you're not, especially online. I think that a lot of people can tell that.
The only thing I thought about that was that I guess at the moment, at least, my blog is more likely to be read by family and friends, and they wouldn't necessarily be, I don't think, that interested in the technical side of it. They're more interested in how the photograph looks. So I think whilst I certainly do want to do some of that technical side of things, I think at the moment probably a more generalized blog with a little bit of technical information, which I've started to put a little bit in, might be more suitable for the kind of audience that I think I'm likely to get in the nearer future.
Yeah, then that would be perfect. I think that whatever you're comfortable with, and then your blog right now is just so, I don't want to say like, it's just like very new, you know? I think you're still getting the feel for it, still kind of figuring out your scheduling and how you're going to kind of where you're going, because I do know that you're constantly updating your website and you're kind of fiddling around with it and stuff. Your blog is just going to evolve so much, especially if you keep consistent with it for the next year or even 5 years. It's just going to evolve so much. So like whatever you're doing now, who you want your audience to be, I think you should write to that person. Don't necessarily think that just right now is just family and friends are thinking, just write or reading your blog. Just think about who you want your ideal person to be reading your blog, and then write to that person.
Yeah. Okay.
And then eventually they'll come, you know, they're going to be more people like you and more people who are going to love to learn from you and check out your images, and maybe even people who live in your area and want to start looking for new places to go take pictures or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
So definitely just stay true to who you are. Don't worry about being too personal if that's not what attracts you to other people's blogs or anything like that. I think that your blogs are great to read. I love how you have more than just, because when I started off with like maybe 1 or 2 sentences, and then I called that a blog post, you know?
Yeah.
Like you actually go into details about your pictures or what it was like to be in that environment. I've seen you post, even multiple pictures at the same time, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So I think you're definitely headed in the right direction. And also, if you feel like you need to have fresh content all the time or new content all the time, don't feel like that. Feel it because people haven't seen that from you yet. Like some of your older images or things like that, just so that you can keep up with your schedule.
Yeah, sure.
Don't feel like you have to always post new content. To go back and to revisit some of your older work or anything like that.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of that to go at. So, yeah, that's good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of times, especially when I'm traveling and I schedule my blog posts. A lot of those pictures are kind of going to be older ones, or some that I rework and things like that. So yeah, just so that I can maintain my schedule and people know that they can expect new images from me. So one thing that I had a question about when I was looking at your blog is that there's nowhere to leave a comment. Like if I wanted to say, "Good job, Graham," there's nowhere to do that.
Yeah, okay.
I have had people ask, you just want people who are potential clients or customers or whoever, make it super easy for them to contact you.
Yeah.
I've had people leave me comments in blogs. I've had people email me. I've had people contact me through my contact form. Whatever the case is, you just want to make it super easy for people to leave you a question or say that they want to work with you or whatever the case is.
Yeah, if you go into an individual blog, at the bottom of the page there is the if you scroll down from there is the email sign at the bottom, and Facebook and Google Plus and Smuggle. But
yeah, okay.
So that would.
There's no other reason for me to actually click on the blog, though.
No.
Unless you're posting this particular blog to your social media and stuff like that. I don't know if there's actually a reason to click on it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So it needs. I understand what you're saying. It needs somewhere allied, somewhere around, because there is the like button at the bottom, isn't there? But there needs to be a comment button as well. Yeah.
Exactly. You just need multiple ways for people to contact you. So on the bottom, on the bottom here, you have all of that, which is great.
Yeah.
And then I would probably leave a contact me or something like that up on the top too. I feel like whenever I'm looking for people's emails, addresses, or something like that, I always am looking up on top of.
Right. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I don't even. Oh, okay, you have this, but I would leave it flat, super easy.
Yeah.
To figure out how to email you, how to contact you.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Right, directly here. That would be my main thing. I love this picture of you. I think that's so great.
It's in Whistler.
That's awesome.
It's a few years ago. I think that's Whistler. I think that was. We had did a road trip in Canada. That was 2008.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we had a good time.
Yeah, I've never really been to. I've only been to Vancouver in Canada, and that's it. I would love to go to more.
Yeah, we started off in Vancouver, had a few days there, and then went up to Whistler, and then up to Jasper and Banff and Lake Louise, and about 2 weeks all going around, and it was very good.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love how you put that your picture in your About Me, because I think some people are a little bit too shy to do that sometimes, and I think that it just builds trust.
Yeah.
When people can see who you are, what you look like, and that's great. Yeah, and I think that your About Me is great as well, and it links to your Smugmug, which is Also excellent. So what's the difference between images and SmugMug?
Well, at the moment, nothing, because the let me get this the right way around. The images on the Squarespace site are linked directly to the SmugMug site.
Oh, got it.
But the theme that I'm using on the Squarespace site, when you go into there is on this particular theme, there is no what they call click through.
Mm-hmm.
So although I've got it set up and there is a click through in the background, it won't, when you go into an individual image, it won't go. So if you click on there now, I would want it to really go onto SmugMug.
Yeah.
But that particular theme doesn't do that. So I'm just investigating other themes at the moment that would go directly onto SmugMug.
Yeah.
Which is why I've got that big button there at the moment that says SmugMug Galleries.
You know, if I wasn't a photographer, I would have no idea what SmugMug was.
Yeah.
I think it would be a lot better if you renamed it to like maybe Purchase or to Gallery or something like that. Make it super easy for people to know that that's where you go to purchase prints.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, SmugMug. Yeah, I think only really photographers would know what that is.
Yeah.
Something like
that. I've got if you go onto the images page, it does say about purchasing them on SmugMug, but you have to read that.
Yeah. 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 You just want to make it super easy for someone to purchase. Even if you're on your blog and you make your picture bigger, I would love to see like a little shopping cart or something like that to purchase right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your SmugMug. Yeah, so yeah, I would try to work that out between your images and SmugMug, and just to make it super easy for people to purchase your images. So we had talked about how your main thing is that you wanted to have people purchase your images, correct?
Yeah, that would be nice. Yes. Yeah, I want to. I'd like to get a little bit of income, which would help me to travel a bit further and take some different images rather than just necessarily particularly around this area. Yeah.
So would you be open to do workshops and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would put that as a link onto your website as well.
Okay. I mean, through my, because I've certainly for the last 15 years of previously 20 years of my work experience, I was holding a senior position, so I'm quite used to talking to people and explaining things, So I feel I am able to do that.
Perfect.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially since we had talked about how you kind of wanted to be a little bit more technical and a little bit more formative on your website. I think that you would bring a lot of photographers, especially maybe around the area that you live in, to your website. And so I think that it would be perfect if you could bring in income as well by teaching. And then so even if you had one of these links up on top and it just said classes or something like that, and you just had a really simple form of one-on-one workshops or group workshops or whatever the case is, and put your email address there, make it super easy for people to learn from you. I think that would be another good step. Something super easy that you could just put up even tonight if you had time,
Yeah. Okay.
Just something really simple to let people know that you're offering that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whoops. Sorry about that. I love how bright and stand out your subscription boxes. And I noticed, and I remember when you put it up, it was like one of the first things I noticed when you did that. So I wanted to also talk about your newsletter as well, because I received one just the other day. So your newsletters are automated, correct? So that
yes, through MailChimp. You should have got it yesterday at I would think about 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 11:02 a.m. Correct.
Yeah, they're supposed to be sent at 4 o'clock GMT.
Okay, how come you picked that time?
Well, because I personally hate my phone. If I'm awake during the middle of the night, my phone. I used to get emails from Amazon every morning at 1 o'clock in the morning
Oh,
until I unsubscribed, and I hate those mail services that send you them in the middle of the night. So I determined that I wouldn't do that to anybody else. So unless you're on the other side of the world, of course. Sam in Australia might be getting them at an odd time, but yeah. So that's why I chose the kind of time. But it was in the USA. It was late morning or early morning, earliest if you're on the West Coast. It'd be 8 o'clock. So
yeah, that's fine. I think that, especially for me, I send out my newsletters early in the morning just so it would be on top of the email list when I arrive to work and stuff like that. And it'd be one of the first emails you saw. So I think that's a great time, or at least for me on the East Coast, I think that that's a good time to set up your newsletter. So the subject, so can you change the subject, because it says post from blog, and that's not really
I think I can. I'll certainly have a look at that.
And then I also noticed how this little message right here is on the top of every newsletter that you send out. And I think it's great for the first time that you send it out, but it's not necessarily what I want to see the first thing I see every newsletter that I get.
Okay.
You know, like I think it's great that you kind of give like a little welcome and here's what you could do and here's some other stuff that you could do, but it's not what I would want to see every time I click on your newsletter.
Yeah.
But having your newsletter sent out, I think it's great now. It definitely helps keep you in the back of people's minds, and if they don't know that every Monday morning Graham is posting up a blog, then they're going to get it in their email. So I think that's great. I think that eventually when your blog evolves, that your newsletter could evolve, but I think that this is a great start too.
Yeah. I mean, what I have done on the website and on the blog as well is I've used consistent colors all the way through. So the blue is the same, or the turquoise or whatever color it is. It's the same color all the time, and the orange is a complementary color to the turquoise. Although Bonnie didn't like the turquoise, didn't like the orange, and if you remember, I don't know whether you do remember, but I'd put a light blue background to the website and also to the emails, and nobody liked them last time, so they've gone as well. So,
I think it's good to ask people's opinions.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But you don't have to follow it every time.
No. I could see entirely where they're coming from. I do like the contrasty colours of the orange and the turquoise, so I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being, at least, anyway.
Yeah, but I do like how you changed the type to the blue as opposed to the background to blue, because I just think it's a little bit more simple and it doesn't grab too much attention away from the photograph. So I do like that. I think it's very nice. I also really like your okay, so that's all I really wanted to say about the newsletters. So
okay,
go back to screen share your website. I really like your homepage.
Yeah, I've added some more images onto there. That was another suggestion at the when you were over in Tokyo, not Hong Kong. In Tokyo. Yes, that because originally I put one image on and then I put two, and they said, well, maybe 2 or 3 more. So, so I just put a few more images on there. But I was conscious that I wanted to have ones where the logo on the top right wasn't too interfered with by whatever was there.
Yeah, I really like it. I think that I love the big photo right when right then and there. Like,
Yeah.
I just think it looks really great. It definitely stands out. This is my favorite picture out of all the ones that are kind of cycling through. I also like how it's really easy to know where to go next. Like if I wanted to go to your blog or your images or learn more about you, it's really simple.
Yeah.
Easy. I really like it. I think that, yeah, I agree with the cohort when they asked you to put more images on there. So overall, I think that you're doing a great job. I just think that once you get more used to blogging and things like that, you could definitely try adding a little bit more to your schedule, maybe more than like maybe twice a week or something like that. But that's just whenever you're ready. And
no, well, I think that's certainly doable, and particularly if I, look at some previous images as well, rather than necessarily always look at new things. I could certainly do that. There's plenty there to choose from, and I could always run a little theme, I guess, and have 2 or 3 blog posts about Dubai or wherever I've been or something, and talk a little bit about those areas, and then, I don't know, maybe do a couple of weeks of one and then move on to something else. So yeah, that's certainly achievable.
Yeah, definitely. So did you have any other questions about anything?
Facebook.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about how you were doing with your social media.
Well, I've not really done anything with it. I'm ready to kind of roll on it, I think. And we were talking a little bit about this with Bonnie's husband, Chris, because I think he's quite involved with his website in Facebook. And the vibe I've been getting from people that I've asked about this is kind of go big or go home. You're either in or you're not in. And I've only had a Facebook account for a fairly short period of time, because I've always been quite suspicious, I guess, of Facebook, and not a fan of their kind of taking over the world kind of thing. But I've posted 1 or 2 things on Facebook. I posted some black and white images I took in London last year, and I've got a number of family and friends that are waiting for me to confirm their friend requests. So, and I thought particularly that and my wife posted a thing on there about the photography exhibition and the fact that I'd won an award and won the prize and so forth. So, so quite a few people have seen that already. So I thought that, but she hasn't posted the image that won. So I thought, well, that was a way for me to kick that off kind of properly, get everybody accepted as friends that's asked for a friend request, and post that in, and then mention the website, mention the Smug Mug site, the gallery, and then see where we go. And also then post the blog posts onto Facebook as well as sending out the emails.
Yep. I'd also look into getting a fan page as opposed to doing it through your personal account.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Like when people like your page as opposed to friend requesting you.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would suggest going that route just because anybody could like your page. It's not, it's public so that anybody could see it. You can kind of leave your personal private self to just your own personal page.
Right.
So anybody in the world could just go out and look for Graham's photography and then see it right there and like it, and you don't really have to worry about your private information, I guess. Or
yeah. Okay.
That. The great thing about having your own Facebook, I guess, fan page, I don't know what it's called, a business page or what it is. Like there's analytics too. So you can see the type of people who are liking you. You can see their interaction. You can see how many people actually viewed your picture, but then also how many people liked it and things like that, and kind of get a better gauge of that kind of stuff as opposed to just your personal Facebook page.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's so good. As long as, I think the same rules kind of apply to Facebook and to your newsletter and to your blog, as long as you're consistent.
Yeah.
And kind of get the message out there that you're a photographer, you're selling your prints, you're doing these workshops, that eventually the right people will find you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
And so have you thought about doing YouTube videos, since you're a big fan of the videos?
I've dabbled, shall we say. I've done a couple of trials myself, which have been binned after the event. We don't want anybody to get their hands on those inadvertently. So yeah, I think. I mean, there are tons and tons of them on YouTube, and some are inordinately boring, and some are too short. And I think there's a happy medium in there, which to my mind is probably somewhere between 7 or 8 minutes and about 15 minutes. And I think, you know, it depends on how engaging you are as a person. I think there are some people that try to be too engaging and become kind of obnoxious, and you'd rather not watch them. And there are some that are boring as hell. So, and as I said in a discussion I had with Bonnie, unfortunately, my flat Yorkshire vowels don't particularly help me to sound like, you know, sound very interesting, shall we say. So,
no, I like listening to you.
I know. Well, you'd be surprised how many English people don't like the voices, and yet Americans say, "Oh yeah, we love your English accent." But
yeah, I think it's awesome.
So I think, yeah, it's certainly something I'm going to look further into. I think I've got pretty good at Lightroom, particularly. Photoshop, I've got a long way to go before I would ever be confident about talking to anybody about that, to be honest. But Lightroom, I'd be quite happy to discuss to a fairly advanced level, I think, at the moment. And certainly, I think in terms of composing and thinking about actually taking photographs, I think I've some, you know, certainly for people who are beginners. I wouldn't assume to talk to anybody that was advanced necessarily, but certainly people that are beginners or want to improve their techniques, I feel I could talk to those kind of people as well. So yes, I'm going to do some more test videos of those and see how we go. And then, you know, if I'm happy with one or two, I'll certainly upload those to the website, I think.
Perfect. Just don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about making it super complicated or anything. I think the hardest part is just to do your first video and get it out there.
Yeah.
I think that you already have kind of a good idea of what kind of videos you want to make, how long you want to make them.
Yeah.
I would say just do it. Don't worry about it being too perfect.
Yeah.
I would definitely start off with something easy, something really easy, like showing off the Lightroom sliders or something like that.
Yeah.
That's you can do, but yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
I think YouTube is a great place to kind of promote yourself. Are you going to be on camera, or are you going to just do the screen share?
I'm not sure anybody really wants to look at me, so I think I would probably start off. There might be 15 seconds at the start of the video. Maybe we'll see. I think the fact that the website is there and there's pictures of me on the website anyway, I guess. My initial intention really was just to have the screen up, really. But you know, I think ones I've seen, people that look to engage the viewer more, I feel more attracted to those. I'm not as attracted, unless it's something I really want to learn about, to ones that are just showing the screen. And yet there are some that try and try to engage the people too much, and they go dancing around the room and wearing a funny hat and all this kind of stuff. And you know, I think, well, you know, there's no need to, from my point of view, there's no need to do that. But I think there's a certain amount of honesty is the wrong word, but you probably understand what I'm trying to say. You need to be approachable, I think, if you're going to do this kind of thing. And if you're kind of hiding behind the screen necessarily, I'm not sure how approachable that makes you.
Exactly.
And how engaging you make yourself in that case. So, yeah, I might, it might be with a long lens, but we'll see.
I think, just like what I said about having your picture on the website, it's kind of the same thing on the video. People will just trust you more. People will connect with you more when they actually see what you look like, watch you talk, and things like that. So even if, you know how you can screen share your video, but then also have like a little square of yourself in the corner? Even if you do that, like not very big, that's, I think, a good start.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I subscribe. I don't know whether you've heard of Screencasts Online. There's a guy called Don McAllister. He's an English guy, lives near Liverpool, who for many years and he's one of the, I guess, one of the foremost Apple or providers of Apple screencasts, and his things are called Screencasts Online. He's been doing them for many years and become very successful at it, and appears on Twit podcasts and things like that, you know, from time to time. And interestingly, he's just started doing some to camera, whereas previously he's hardly done anything to camera. So, and he's got a moustache, so there we go. You know, you can't have even mustachioed guys can be all right on camera. So there we are.
See, Graham, I think you're fun. Just like what Bonnie was saying, you're funny. You know, like I think that people would love to get to know you more, and if you just you know, put yourself out there in your videos or in your blog or whatever you feel comfortable with in the very beginning, I think people would really connect with that. Just feel comfortable. Maybe like have a little drink before you are on your video or something like that. No one's gonna know. No one can smell your breath.
Just don't do it on camera, is that right? Just a little hip flask.
Just put it in like a little water bottle. You know, whatever you need to do. I just think that just the more comfortable you are online, the more people are going to connect with you. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. So I think that everything that we talked about has been really great. I think a lot of things are just like small little things that you could do that really make a big difference. And then other than that, it's really just get out there, especially with Facebook. Obviously you have a Google Plus, so you could definitely start there as well, and just start promoting with Google Plus and Facebook, and maybe start working on a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Did you have any other questions about anything?
I don't think so at this point in time. No, no, can't think of any particularly.
Okay. How did you feel about the critique?
Fine. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's you know, you're giving me some good advice. I've made plenty of notes, and
okay, great.
No, it's, as we've said before, all these things are a continuing work in progress, aren't they? You know, and I guess the ideal thing is never to be entirely happy with what you've got, and that doesn't mean you have to change it every 5 minutes, but because people get fed up of that as well. You know, people do like continuity. But I think a little tweaking is good for the soul. So.
Oh, one question. Are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter, yes. I don't really. I tend to follow rather than have. I don't know. I've got any followers actually, but I have a Twitter account. Yes.
Okay. But the my favorite thing about Twitter is connecting with people.
Yeah.
And connecting with people who have larger audiences. Like I follow a lot of like news people and other people in my area.
Yeah.
Just people who have a lot more followers, and I can help them if they ask a question on Twitter. If I'm following them, then I can help them and maybe just keep an eye out on people you could help.
Okay.
Maybe other photographers in your area or just people in your area. Start conversations on Twitter. It's a really great way to connect with people.
Okay.
We can talk more about that in the cohort hangout after this, but
yeah,
Twitter is really great too. But it's a totally different kind of social network than others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great. So let me